Imagine a galaxy where every powerful species turns its back on the most peaceful and vulnerable race, leaving them to face annihilation alone. But one species, a bold and unpredictable one, steps in where others flee. What drives these mysterious defenders? And why are they willing to risk everything for a people they've never met? The Galactic Council meeting was tense, as always. The central hall, massive, circular, and filled with representatives from over 100 different species, felt charged with an almost electric atmosphere. Towering screens in the middle of the room displayed a live feed of the beleaguered planet of Katuun, a peaceful world now besieged by the relentless Drexer Collective. The planet's once beautiful crystal forests burned in hues of blue and violet, sending smoke curling into the atmosphere. Katuun has no strategic value, hissed the delegate from the Vorsha Dominion, her dark, spindly limbs tapping rhythmically on the desk before her. It produces no advanced technology, no weaponry. Why should we risk ourselves for them? A murmur of agreement spread through the chamber. Katuun was home to a race of gentle, philosophical beings. The Katuun, small and non-aggressive, had never needed a military. Their cities, built atop glowing plains, were centers of art and thought, not war. The Drexer will take what they want and leave, said the ambassador from the Vrak Consortium, his red eyes gleaming under the dim light. It's a small loss in the grand scheme of things. Let them have it. One by one, each species represented in the chamber voiced their reasons for abandoning Katuun. It was always the same refrain. Not worth the risk, not worth the resources. The Drexer Collective was a vast and powerful empire, one that had conquered entire systems with ease. No one wanted to be their next target. And so, the council moved toward a unanimous vote. No aid would be sent to Katuun. The Katuun, as peaceful as they were, would be left to die. Except for one voice. We will help them. The statement cut through the noise like a laser beam. Every head turned toward the source of the voice, Captain Mara Lewis, standing at the podium of the Terran delegation. Humans, one of the newest members of the Galactic Council, were not known for their subtlety. They had only recently ventured into the wider galactic community, yet they had already earned a reputation for audacity and defiance. The council chamber erupted into murmurs of disbelief. Humans? An ambassador from the insectoid Critheri scoffed, his mandibles clicking together in annoyance. What could you possibly offer? You don't have the fleets nor the firepower. This is Drexer we're talking about. Mara's steel-blue eyes locked onto the Critheri representative. We may not have the largest fleet or the most advanced technology, she said calmly, but we have something you all seem to lack: courage. More murmurs followed. Courage? Was that what this was? Foolish bravado, some thought. You cannot win this fight. The Vorsha delegate hissed again. You will only provoke the Drexer. It is suicide. Mara's expression never faltered. Maybe, but we don't abandon those who need help. Ambassador Eric Malone, standing beside her, leaned closer. Are you sure about this, Captain? He whispered. This is going to be a hell of a fight, and we don't exactly have the galaxy's finest behind us. Mara's gaze shifted to the image of Katuun, the once beautiful planet now choking under the grip of the Drexer siege. The Katuun need us, she said simply. And we don't leave people behind. Days later, the TUS Dauntless, a human warship, dropped out of hyperspace above Katuun, its sleek, steel-gray hull glinting against the void. Around it, several other ships from the small human task force emerged, each bristling with what weaponry they had. The human fleet wasn't the largest, nor the most powerful, but it was determined. Mara stood on the bridge, her arms crossed as she watched the tactical readouts flash across the screens. The Drexer fleet, massive and imposing, formed a blockade around Katuun, its massive warships like predators circling a helpless prey. Status report, Mara called out. Shields at maximum. Weapon systems are online. Lieutenant Hansen reported from the control panel. The Drexer haven't reacted yet, but they will soon. Let's not give them a reason to wait, Mara said, her voice steady. All ships, form up. We're breaking through that blockade. The Dauntless surged forward, its engines roaring to life as it cut a path toward the Drexer fleet. Behind it, the other human ships followed, each one primed for battle. On the ground, the Katuun huddled in underground shelters, their delicate hands clutching the remnants of their once glorious civilization. Their once silent planet now shook under the force of the Drexer bombardment. Explosions lit up the sky, turning night into day as Drexer war machines rolled across the plains. In the largest shelter, Elder Vera stood among the Katuun refugees, her deep-set eyes filled with sorrow. "We are lost," she murmured to herself. "There is no one left to save us." A younger Katuun, barely more than a child, approached her. "Elder, do you hear that?" he whispered, his voice trembling. At first, it seemed like just another explosion. But then, as the ground shook again, Vera's ears caught something new. The unmistakable roar of engines, powerful and fast, but unlike those of the Drexer. Suddenly, the ceiling above them shuddered, and a massive figure dropped down through the smoke and debris. It was clad in shining armor, its face obscured by a visor. A human soldier. "Everyone stay calm," the soldier shouted, his voice carrying across the chamber. "We're here to get you out of here." More humans followed, their weapons trained on the shelter's entrance as they guided the Katuun into armored transports waiting outside. The Katuun, trembling and unsure, followed, their eyes wide with both fear and hope. Elder Vera, still stunned, approached the first human she saw. "Why are you here?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. The soldier looked down at her, his face grim but kind. "Because no one else would come," he said. "But we did." Above the planet, the battle raged. Human ships darted in and out of the Drexer fleet, their smaller size allowing them to maneuver quickly between the massive Drexer warships. Laser fire lit up the darkness of space, turning it into a chaotic dance of light and destruction. Inside the Dauntless, Mara gripped the railing as the ship rocked under another barrage. "Hold steady," she ordered. "We're not giving them an inch." "Shields down to 40%. Hansen shouted over the alarms. "We're taking heavy fire. All units, focus on the lead Drexer ship," Mara commanded. "If we can take it out, the rest of their formation will fall apart." The Dauntless powered forward, its guns blazing as it unloaded everything it had on the massive Drexer warship at the center of the blockade. The Drexer ship returned fire, its energy cannons tearing through space toward the human fleet. But the humans didn't back down. "Direct hit on the Drexer flagship," Hansen yelled. "Their shields are failing." "All ships, concentrate fire," Mara ordered. A deafening explosion rocked the battlefield as the Drexer flagship erupted into a ball of flame and debris. For a brief moment, the Drexer forces hesitated, their formation wavering. "Now's our chance," Mara said. "Push forward. Break the blockade." One by one, the human ships surged through the gap in the Drexer line, racing toward Katuun. The Drexer fleet, now disorganized and without their flagship, began to retreat. On the ground, Sergeant Ramos led his team of Marines through the war-torn fields of Katuun, setting up defensive perimeters around the remaining shelters. The Drexer ground forces, though numerous, were caught off guard by the sudden human resistance. "We've got them on the run," Ramos shouted as his team laid down covering fire. "Push them back." The Drexer soldiers, towering and heavily armored, fought fiercely, but the humans were relentless. Using quick, tactical strikes, they slowly pushed the Drexer forces back toward their landing zones. In the final hours of the battle, the skies above Katuun cleared as the last of the Drexer ships fled into hyperspace. The human fleet, battered but victorious, remained in orbit, ready to provide aid to the now liberated planet. Days later, Captain Mara Lewis stood before the Galactic Council once more. The chamber was silent as the council members, still in shock, processed what had happened. The humans, against all odds, had defeated the Drexer and saved the Katuun. "You risked everything?" the Vorsha delegate said, her voice begrudging. "And for what? A planet with no value." Mara's eyes met the Vorsha's cold gaze and she spoke with quiet determination. Because value isn't measured in resources or strategic advantage. It's measured in the lives we save. The council fell into stunned silence. The human way of thinking was unlike any other in the galaxy, a strange mix of defiance and compassion. They might have been a smaller, newer race on the galactic stage, but today they had made their mark. On Katuun, the Katuun people emerged from their shelters for the first time in weeks, breathing in the air of a planet no longer under siege. Elder Vera stood atop a hill, watching as human engineers and medics worked side by side with her people, rebuilding what had been destroyed. A human soldier approached her, the same one who had first led them to safety. He removed his helmet, revealing a weathered but warm face. "We'll stay as long as you need us," he said. Vera looked up at him, her eyes filled with gratitude. "You already gave us something we thought we had lost, hope."